It's time for Access the Experts from the University of Nebraska at Omaha with your host, Brandon AKSAMIT.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Access the Experts on News Channel Nebraska, where every Tuesday and Thursday, University of Nebraska at Omaha faculty members answer today's questions facing our state. Now today we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Andrew Swift, who is an associate professor and graduate program chair for UNO's mathematics department. So Dr. Swift, today's question is, can math predict a champion of a sports event?
Thanks for the question, Brandon. I would be happy to talk to you today about whether math can predict the champion of a sports event. For a simple answer, the answer is no. Otherwise, there would be really no point in playing the games. However, math, or more correctly, statistics, can help us understand the likelihood of certain outcomes of a sporting event. They can tell us which teams are favorites and which teams are underdogs. And this type of modeling, this type of statistical modeling, or sports analytics, if you will, has been going on since the 1950s and 60s, when statisticians realized you could use a model of past wins and losses to predict the chance of future wins and losses. So that was one of the first basic statistical models in sports analytics. Going forward, if you think about the 70s and the 80s, there was a man named Bill James, who you might have heard of because he was featured a lot in Michael Lewis's book Moneyball. He spent a lot of time in the 70s and 80s analyzing baseball data and determined, for example, that past wins and losses might not be the best prediction of future performance. Instead, he discovered that past runs scored and runs allowed actually predicted future wins and losses better than past wins and losses did. So that was another kind of evolution in using data to predict future sports performance. In more recent years, we've had increases in computing power, which means we can make more complicated models featuring more detailed data. So that has led to the advent of kind of new metrics for player performance, because we realize, of course, that player performance is tied to team performance, and team performance leads to wins. So by analyzing how good the players are that make up the team, we can analyze how good the team is and how likely they are to win in the future. So we've had new metrics, particularly in baseball, where the data is more conducive to analysis. So you might have heard of metrics like OPS or WAR. These are metrics that have come in the last few years that are better measures of player performance in baseball than the traditional batting average or pitcher ERA that you might have heard of. In more recent times, player tracking data has become much more available and used to analyze team performance, as players in team sports like basketball and hockey and football have been GPS tracked throughout the game, and then we can analyze that tracking data to kind of analyze performance. The American Statistical Association, in fact, even has a whole section called the Section on Statistics in Sports that is designed for statisticians who are interested in analyzing sports data and performing sports analytics. Many teams now have their own sports analytics departments because of the growth in the data availability for analyzing performance. If you want to know more, please feel free to contact me at unomaha.edu. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Swift, for sharing your expertise on the topic. For our viewers at home, we want you to interact with UNO's experts, so if you have a question you want answered, submit it at newschannelnebraska.com.
Access the Experts, presented by the University of Nebraska at Omaha. If you have questions, submit them on our website. Then join us every Tuesday and Thursdays at 6:46 a.m. and p.m. while we answer your questions.